Okay, so today we are going to be using the line method to solve the multiplication problem 432 times 25. So with the line method, we're going to start with setting it up. So we're going to look at our first number, 432, which has 3 place values. So we're going to draw 3 lines to represent each place value. So we have 1, 2, 3. And so we have our hundreds, our tens, and our ones. And if we look at our number, we have 4 hundreds, 3 tens, and 2 ones. And there we go. Okay, and now we're going to look at our second number, which is 25. And it's going to have 2 place values. So we're going to draw just 2 lines to represent the 2 place values. So we have 2 tens and 5 ones. So we have 2 and 5. Okay, so with this setup, it allows you to kind of have a visual of our 2 numbers that we're going to be working with and the different place values that we're working with. So now we're going to start with our multiplication. So we're going to take our first number 4, our 4 hundreds, and we're going to multiply it by our 2 tens. So we have 4 and 2. 4 times 2 is 8. And the reason we write the 8 right there is because we're multiplying our 4 hundreds, which is this line, and our 2 tens represented by this line. And we kind of write that number right where that intersection happens. So we're going to move on. So we have our 4 hundreds times 5 ones, and 4 times 5 is 20. Now we're going to go down here to our 3 tens. So 3 tens times our 2 tens, that's going to give us 6, or 6 tens. And our 3 tens times our 5 ones, and that's going to give us 15. And continuing, we're going to put our 2 ones times 2 tens, which is 4. And then our 2 tens, or 2 ones, times our 5 ones, which will give us 10. So now that we are done with the multiplication part of the line method, we are going to kind of regroup all of our products. So we're going to start over here with our first product, which was 8. Now this 8 is the product of 4 hundreds and 2 tens. So if we go over here, our hundreds times our tens. When you have 100 multiplied by a 10, it's going to give you a product of 1,000. So that's what this 8 represents, is 8 thousands. So we're going to write down over here our thousands that we have, and we have 8 thousands. So this 8 represents our 8 thousands. And so now we are going to look at our next set of numbers. So we have 20. So the 20 is the product of 4 hundreds and 5 ones. So if you have 100 and a 1, it's going to give you 100. So now we're looking at our hundreds that we have made. So we have 20 hundreds, but we have more than 20 hundreds, because if you look down here, our 3 tens and our 2 tens, that's also going to give us 100, because a 10 and a 10 make 100. So we not only have 20 hundreds, but we have 6 hundreds. So we can group the 20 and the 6 together. And that's going to give us 2,600. And moving on, we have now looking at our 15, which is the product of our 3 tens and 5 ones. Well, a 10 and a 1 is going to give us a 10. So we now are looking at our tens, and we have 15 tens, but we can also make tens with our 2 tens and 2 ones. So again, that's a 10 and a 1. So we have 15 tens and 4 tens. which will give us 19 tens. And lastly, we're going to look at our 10, which was the product of 2 1s and 5 1s. So a 1 and a 1, that's just going to give us a 1. So we have a total of 10 1s. And so by grouping together our products, we were able to combine them into the similar place values. And so now we are going to finish this problem off by adding together all the groups that we made, which is going to give us a final answer of 10,800. So what's really neat about the line method is that it again allows you to see that visual of what you're doing and to really organize your multiplication into place values. And it also kind of shows as a little map. So when you are multiplying, you can see that you're not just multiplying a 5 and times a 4. You're multiplying a 400 by a 5 1s. And then when you group together your numbers, it's showing that you're making those groups of place values. So like over here, 10 times 10 is 100. So if you have 3 10s and 2 10s, that's going to give you 6 hundreds. But you can also make 10s but you can also make hundreds by having your group of 100 and your group of 1. So we have 20 hundreds and 6 hundreds. And that's similar to our standard algorithm, because if in our standard algorithm, we're essentially doing the same thing of combining different place values, except it's not visually laid out. So again, you would be like doing 5 1s times 2 1s is going to give you 10 1s. Or 5 1s times 3 10s is going to give you 15 10s. And 5 1s times 4 hundreds is going to give you 20 hundreds. So you, in both methods, you're combining those different place values to get your final product. It's in the line method that kind of visually lays that out for students.